Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham. Welcome to this stage 12 betting preview of the Tour de France. Well, what a stage 11. We had an absolute brute. We'll get into that in just a few seconds. But just a reminder, if you do like the previews, please hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot and just gets us more and more exposure, which is, of course, what we're looking for here on Good for the Game. Right, back to the stage itself. And this is one of the best Tour de France stages I've ever watched. And believe me, I've watched many a stage. 10, 15 years ago, I used to take leave to watch the mountain stages. Absolutely wouldn't have missed this one for the world. And it was everything we hoped it would be, with the attacks coming on the penultimate climb of the Col de Galibier. Vingegaard and Roglic, they were hitting Pogacar with the 1-2. And Pogacar, to his credit, kept on standing up to it and chasing down the breaks. And in fact, he then even went on the offensive himself a bit and looked to have taken control back. It wasn't the case. On the final climb, it was an absolute brute of a climb as well. And in the end, he was just not able to go with Vingegaard. And he really did, for the first time we've ever seen a Pogacar crack Vingegaard in the end, racing past Quintana and also poor Warren Barguil, who I backed in running actually at 7-1. I thought at one stage the break would stick. Chased him down and eventually won the stage by 59 seconds from Nairo Quintana. Very impressive performance from him. He tends to fade lately in Grand Tours, but quite encouraging that he's going so well. Although we can also expect good performances in the thin air. Romain Bardet also absolutely out on his feet at the end, but very well done there to finish 1 minute 10 seconds back. Thomas a further 28 seconds behind him. Gaudu looked in all sorts of trouble early, but managed to hang on for a fifth place finish. Yates coming in sixth to make sure Ineos still have two men up there in within about 3 minutes. We'll look at the outright with the yellow jersey classification now. Pogacar, well, he showed plenty of guts just to keep on going, but lost almost 3 minutes. Roglic finished well back and is now firmly out of contention, but he certainly did his job as a teammate, helping to soften up Pogacar there. Let's have a look at the yellow jersey standings. We got Vingegaard now leading by 2:16 from Bardet. Pogacar a further 6 seconds back, and you can see Yates in 3 minutes 6 seconds back. So if you look at positions 2 through to 6, they're all within under a minute of each other, so still plenty to play for. And Vingegaard, well, he's never led a Grand Tour before, I don't think, and he certainly hasn't won one. So there's lots to play for. This is certainly not in the bag. Although one thing Vingegaard has is by far the strongest team. Jumbo-Visma absolutely dominant at the moment. Let's have a quick look at the classification betting. Of course, we've got some big shake-ups there. Let's just get onto the classifications. For some reason, my computer seems to be a bit slow. Right, we got Vingegaard now. I mean, he's gone from second favourite now to 1-4 favourite. Pogacar still the most likely challenger at 7-2. You get 20-1 Thomas and 25-1 Romain Bardet. Points classification we won't even mention. Wout van Aert, he's cruising that 1-18. There's an early sprint on tomorrow's stage. No doubt he'll pop out and take those points as well. The mountains classification, Vingegaard now shortened to 2-1 favourite. He had some bet with Barguil at 6s, Geschke at 6s. He's the current wearer of the jersey. And Thibaut Pinot at 13-2. Obviously, a lot of people expected stuff from Pinot today on stage 11, but I think stage 12 is more likely for him being Bastille Day and all. But there's a lot of work to do if Pinot's going to take the King of the Mountains jersey. Ineos are very short now in the team classification, and they certainly are looking well poised for that, when Jumbo-Visma's focus will, of course, be on getting their man home in the yellow jersey. Well, let's go to stage 12. This is going to be an absolute brute of a stage. Once again, let me just adjust this. I'm sitting at a different angle tonight. As mentioned, we got the early sprint here. So I think there's a good chance that Wout van Aert will either get into the early break and take the sprint, or if it's all together there after 11 kilometers, he'll just take it out and I think he wants to see how much he can win this green jersey by, quite frankly. We've then got the out-of-category climb up the Col de Galibier, 23 kilometers at 5.1%. This is from the easier side, I say that, but of course, look at the distance. But still, obviously, you're not going to be able to get anybody other than pure climbers and some really strong men going in the break. And there's going to be all hell is going to break loose here at the start. There's going to be obviously the climbers looking to win the stage, and we'll touch on some of those guys now. But you're also going to be looking at the likes of Ineos, Jumbo-Visma, probably UAE as well, trying to get a few guys in the break, guys who can be used to help later on down the line. I mean, what a great example that was today with Jumbo-Visma. Wout van Aert dropping back, and I mean, he crested the climb something like 4 minutes ahead of the peloton. He just went slowly down the he said until that guys caught up, and then in the valley, he must have pulled about 2 or 3 minutes there on poor old Warren Biggill, just driving them along to the foot of the final climb. So unbelievable, but a great example of how cycling tactics work. Right, we got the Gallabere there, so I expect that the break will have gone, and there'll be quite a few guys in it. But it's really the composition of the good break is going to be fascinating. Who's going to go off there? And when we try and look at a stage winner now, if we do think the break is going to stick, and I do think the break has a fairly strong chance here of sticking, you've got to try and figure out who's going to be there. It's really not going to be easy to pick a winner of this stage. The team that will ultimately decide what happens on the stage is Jumbo-Visma. If they decide they want to win the stage, they're going to keep the break on a tight hold. They've certainly got the team to do so, and the break will get caught up Alpe d'Huez, and eventually one of the general classification guys will win. But they may ride the stage a bit more defensively. You don't want to bring Pogacar back into it. Perhaps Pogacar just had a bad day today. He is faster still than Vingegaard in a sprint finish, and you don't want to be handing bonus seconds to Pogacar. So perhaps they'll ride defensively. I think, without a doubt, all of the top teams will try to get guys into the break. And then we've got sort of quite a bit of descending, a bit of valley floor, and we get up to another long climb, 29 kilometers at 5.2%. This is real energy-sapping stuff. Don't be too fooled by this climb. I'll see if I can get the profile up here. The percentage doesn't sound great. But yeah, you can actually see the climb here. What you've got is you've got some like downhill sections, and I'll just bring this up a little bit bigger here. But you've got some sections here where you've got 10.2%, 9%, 9%. I mean, look at this 5 kilometers here. Must average out at about 8.5% over here. Then it dips down, which obviously brings the average down before picking back up. And quite hard to end with it here, all around the 6 to 8% mark there. So don't be fooled, especially the sort of there's a bottom section and top section here that are very, very strong. Back to the profile itself, though, we then go through a bit of a flat section, and then obviously up the famous Alpe d'Huez, 13.8 kilometers at 8.1%. So what is going to happen on the stage? Well, it's certainly going to be very, very interesting. I want to throw something out there that I don't necessarily think would happen, but if I was Jumbo-Visma, they've already said they want to put the pressure on Pogacar, because there's two things they can do. They've got a 2-minute odd lead over him. They can either ride defensively, or they could say, look, if he was weak today, he might be a bit weak tomorrow. Let's put the hammer down. Let's try and absolutely destroy Pogacar and ride him right out of contention before we get in the Pyrenees. If that happens, then the general classification guys will probably contest. But who will Jumbo-Visma stick in the break? They can obviously stick the likes of Sepp Kuss in the break. A Dutchman would really like to win on Alpe d'Huez as well. We got Kruiswijk. But what I would do is, if I was Jumbo-Visma, I would look at things a bit differently, and I would stick Primož Roglič in the break. Because then you don't have to chase anymore, because ultimately, well, you might have to control the stage a bit, but ultimately, Primož Roglič riding himself back into some sort of contention, let the break get 10, 12 minutes ahead. You're going to then force Pogacar's team to work, and probably anyone listening to this is going, this guy needs his head read. But that's what I would do if I was Jumbo-Visma. I would stick Primož Roglič in the break, and I would actually force the likes of Ineos and potentially UAE to chase. And I think what would happen is you'd have Ineos would probably have someone like a Pidcock in the break anyway, and you might be able to force poor old UAE to work even harder. Anyway, probably just dreaming on that one, but one thing for sure, we're in for a very exciting stage. Let's go and have a look at the stage betting quickly. Just run through it, and then I'll bring up my selections. Actually, my main bets on the stage are actually going to be match bets. Just to mention, although I didn't have any joy on the stage betting, I did manage to hit the winning margin more than 10 seconds. That arrived, of course, quite comfortably by about 50 seconds. And that was quite a nice price I got there at 5-4. I saw in running it was trading at around 13 to 20. Right, we got the stage betting here. We got Vingegaard at 7-2, Pogacar 5-1. Thibaut Pinot, of course, he'll have to do it from the break, and every chance that he does go for the break tomorrow on Bastille Day. So Pinot, yeah, he'll be a popular choice, but 6-1. You know me, I don't really like to go for those shorter price shots. Going down here, we obviously it's not an easy stage to find the winner, and then we've got match bets. So we'll see if they've got any specials up yet. Not yet. We don't have the winning margins just yet. So let me pull my bets up. I just want to go to World Sports Betting. I've got some match bets here as well. And in fact, we're going to start with let's start with the match bets. These are my main bets for the stage. I'm going 2 units. Enric Mas over Alexander Vlasov at 16-10. just attracted here by the price. Vlasov did beat him quite comfortably today, but he has had some back problems. And Mas, I don't know, I just felt he had maybe just had a bit of a bad day. He's pretty consistent, normally gets stronger as the Grand Tour goes on. I'm prepared to go with him there at 16 to 10. And then our good old South African, he disappointed a little bit today, but Louis Mankies over Pidcock. I'm fancying Louis Mankies to get himself in the break. Pidcock may as well, but I also am expecting Pidcock to potentially implode at some point. I don't think he's quite ready to go through a Grand Tour of this sort of nature and not have a really shocking day at some point. So I'm going for Louis Mankies. He's pretty consistent, and you'll see now I'm hoping he might be in contention for the win as well. He's at 15 to 10, 2 units on each of those. Let's go then to the win bets, and here I'm going to go. I see World Sports Betting have got 80 to 1 on Rogic. Now, I just can't resist that. Obviously, Rogic finished 10 minutes behind today, but he really worked hard. I mean, when he faded out and he had to be ridden back in, I mean, he gave everything for the team today. But what that showed me is he's not in top form, but he's not in the worst form. And if he is allowed into the break, and the break does get a big gap, because I wouldn't imagine then that Jumbo Visma would chase, then I could well see Rogic finishing this off, perhaps even a bit of a thank you from his teammate for the hard work. So I'm going for Rogic. He's 80 to 1 at WSB. I'll spread around a bit because I wouldn't be able to get a big bet on him there at 80 to 1. But I'm going to have a sneaky bet on him there. I think you can get 50 to 1 at Sunbet on Rogic's chances. And then Louis Mankies. I'm expecting Mankies to get into the break tomorrow. And like I said, depending on who's in the break, I think there's actually a decent chance the break could stick. I don't think Jumbo Visma are going to absolutely break themselves to go for the stage. They're certainly going to try and put Pogacar under pressure, but they may not chase down the break. And I think Mankies may just have a chance there of giving South Africa some glory on Bastille Day. Anyway, that's it for now. Remember, this Thursday, so if you haven't yet ever watched our rugby betting show, The Handicap, that is alive. So hit the subscribe button and the bell, and you'll be notified when we go live. It's the last week of international rugby, and we're going to have a couple of weeks off before the Rugby Championship starts. Thanks, everyone. We'll be back for the Stage 13 preview either late Thursday night or early Friday morning. Enjoy this one. You absolutely don't want to miss it.